Hey everyone, my name is Holden Hardman. Thank you so much for joining me again for another video. I know this isn't the kind of stuff that I normally make, but I just thought I'd share it with you for those of you that might be interested in it. About 6 to 8 months ago, I bought a 3D printer. I wanted to start 3D printing stuff. It seemed like something I'd really be able to get into doing, and it is true. But for the longest time, I hadn't set it up. I'd been working on my laser engraver. I was making these like laser engravings. I actually think I have a couple. I was mostly working on stuff for the kids. Here's like some Sonic stuff. I was working on how strong to make the laser beam, how deep I should make it, see if I could play with some of the shading of how I have the laser engraved. I was working on a sign for our laundry room. I was trying to make, this was not the final product. I ended up scrapping that and working on something else. But I'd been working on that for a while, and so I finally got together with Prime on my birthday, actually, and I said, man, I had been putting off setting up this 3D printer for so long. I really want to get it set up. So he came over. He has one too. He came over and he helped me set it up, and I've been working on it ever since. And I have been absolutely loving it. I don't have like a ton of free time just as it is right now with us filming. The kids have a ton of appointments, and Jen is pregnant, but she's gone right now, so I have a little bit of time. And in those small periods of time that I get, I'm able to get a new print going, or I'm able to paint a little bit here and there, because things have to dry anyway, so I can't just be working on it for an extended period of time. So I've just been slowly working on these little projects. So this is the first thing I made and painted. It's this Lord of the Rings sort of model. This is the ring on the side. It's got all the symbols. You know, I painted the Lord of the Rings section, and this part I wanted to make it kind of look like stone, and I see if I can get a shot of the light there. I wanted it to kind of have this like glossy look. The first one I made, I actually painted this top portion yellow, and I've given it to my friend Kiefer. When I went out to Atlanta, I gave it to him as a gift. So I'm gonna be making a few more, and I figure I'll just gift them to my friends because I just enjoy making them. I'll keep one for me, but that way, you know, I'll give all the different rings to my buddies. Kiefer's is the only one where this is not like a gold, it's yellow. It's the same yellow I used here. And it looks kind of cool, but I think I do prefer the gold. So I figure in this video, I'll just show you how I'm making them, how I'm painting them. I am by no means an expert at all. I am an absolute beginner, absolute novice. Everything I've learned, it's been through YouTube tutorials. I'm not a very good painter, but I think there's something to be said about people getting discouraged about wanting to try new things. So this is not my element at all, but it's just something I want to try. So there's probably going to be techniques of things that I could do better, that I will learn to do better. But if you're wanting to come along with that journey with me, I would love for you to tag along. And I don't think it looks that bad. I think I did an okay job. That was my second attempt, though, I will say that. So the first one I gave Kiefer, probably not as good looking. But let's get into making some Lord of the Rings stands, statue things for my friends. So for this particular set, it comes in two pieces, the actual part with the ring and the base. So it's really just a matter of printing off however many I think that I'll need. Also, I'll make sure to link the STL file for those of you that do have a 3D printer and want to try and recreate this yourself. And because I'm still new at this, I do have some prints that do fail because something's wrong either in the machine or the G-code that I use, but that's okay. I'm still learning, and luckily for the most part, have been able to get around that. There have been a few prints that I cannot get to work no matter what, but luckily this is one that I'm usually able to get to complete. Apologies in advance for the state of my workspace. I swear I just cleaned this like 3 weeks ago, and it just naturally gets messy, but that's a sign that I'm using it, so you know, it's a good thing in that regard. But so after they're all printed, they kind of come out looking like this. They're in two separate pieces because they have to print separately. And on the ones that I've been giving, I have been super gluing them together so they don't, you know, accidentally pop out. But that's like one of the absolute last things that I do. So this is something that is very new to me and something I've been trying to be careful about, but it's sanding down some of the plastic, because what I read, and it just seems to be common sense anyway, is that breathing in the dust particles from plastic is probably not a good idea. So I bought a couple of N95 respirators. They were really popular during COVID, but they're really good for this kind of thing. My beard sometimes makes it so that air is still kind of getting through, and I always use gloves when I'm sanding them down. But I will say that initially I was like sanding down everything, trying to make it as smooth as possible, trying to make it not look like a 3D printed object. But honestly, unless there's something that's just obviously protruding, I've more or less just kind of let it be. Here's a Terminator head that I printed, and I did sand this one down a bit, but regardless, I'm still gonna always be seeing these lines, and then anything that's like more intricate spots, it's really hard to get sanding. I got like some sanding sticks, but they're still difficult. And I have different sanding blocks of different grits that I use as well. So I think for this, I might just do a couple of sanding. I like to have like the ring portion itself maybe be a little smoother, but there's really no reason for me to sand down this part of it and make it look like stone anyways. Oh, and this is something that's really important. I probably should have mentioned earlier. I did not create these models. These are all available on Thingiverse. There's somebody that made these. I did not create them. I don't think I can sell them legally. I know I had some people asking if they could just buy them from me. I don't think I can. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can let me know about that. So I'm just making them and giving them to friends. I'm not at the point yet where I'm able to create my own models. So that has some cons to it because there's stuff that I would just like to make. But that will probably be the next step once I get more used to the printer, the next step of what I'll be doing. I'm just using a sanding sponge here. And I know almost certainly that there's a better way to do this. It's very important that I leave my garage door open for ventilation, because this stuff will go up and just stay in the air. Another fun fact, a lot of people think that just because you have the garage door open that it's well ventilated. That's not always true. So I actually have a fan over here I'll be blowing in, because I don't know if you've ever like parked your car in the garage and left it on even with the door up, but if you sit in that car for like 5-10 minutes and get out, it's still going to be full of carbon monoxide. So I'm going to do this pretty close to the door and blow all that dust out. It's funny how like more about safety and stuff I get, like the older I get. I'm in like that transformative period of time when you go from like young man to like grandpa. Oh, and my mask is starting to ride up. Grandpa wouldn't approve of that. So I'm gonna do 3 of these. I have a 4th one that I've already started painting. So I'm just gonna do these 3 and we'll move on. Switching to a finer grit here, and I'm gonna go through all 3 of them again. All right, that's 3 done. I only did the ring portion. Another thing I do to get rid of that last little bit of particles that might be on there is just to use a good old leaf blower. So I cleared out a good portion in here, and the next thing I want to do is prep it for painting. This is one I've already started doing, and I've done a couple of layers of yellow here on the Lord of the Rings actual font. With the exception of this one, I'm actually going to cover all of this and paint the ring first. Part of that is because I have to use painter's tape to cover it, because I don't want to get any gold on the insides here, and I'm going to be putting paint over this, so I don't want any of that to come off. I have realized that this part can be a little bit tedious because it's not just like a straight edge, it's kind of rounded, so I have to do kind of several bits of tape kind of coming at different angles there so I can get the whole thing painted without it affecting the rest of it. Okay, so I just got all 4 done. This took a little longer than I would really like to admit, but all 4 are done. There might be some areas of imperfection here on the lines, and what I've done in the past is I'll just touch it up with an actual paintbrush. I'll go in and I'll paint black if any gold got on the part was supposed to be black, and spray paint into like a paper plate or something, and just straight up hand paint those corners in case I miss anything. So that's what I did in that one. It's not ideal, but we want to make sure it looks good. Now I am most certain that there's a better way to do this, but this is how I've been doing it, just coming out here and spraying it. I have a really bad habit of just globbing it on, so I'm really trying to get better about that, especially like in these little corner pieces, in these little corner areas. Jen just got home, just doing a video painting my stuff.
You look so cute.
Thanks, babe. You can kind of see here where I'm setting them all down. So next up are gonna be these bases. As you can see, I've already done one here. It's a special type of spray paint that just gives it kind of a stony look. I don't have the original one here with me anymore, but this is kind of what it's gonna be like. On this one, I just did a basic, I just spray painted the whole thing over. But on the very first one I did that I gave to Kiefer already, I actually went through with a paintbrush and did kind of some accenting detail, because this is actually like has little built-in chips to make it look like the stone has been weathered kind of over time. It's in different blocks, and I think on this it blends in just a little too easily. So I think on these I'll spray paint them all stone, but I'll go back in with a paintbrush and just accent some of those differences just to make it look like it's been weathered a little bit more, just to help kind of contrast that these are individual, or supposed to be individual stones kind of built into them. So that's the plan. First thing, let's go ahead and spray paint our stone. It's now been about 3 hours. Don't need quite that long, but we had to run some errands, so it ended up just working out well. I'm gonna do one more coat on all of these, just in case I missed any black spots or anything like that, and just to make it a little extra shine. Just finished the second coat. They're all looking pretty good, I'd say. I have to let the rings dry, and then we're going to do the coloring of the yellow on here, which takes a couple of coats as well. Paint it, dry, and depending on how many holes are in here and how we just kind of want it to look, might even do a third coat. Sometimes less is better, having it be a little bit imperfect. This one's pretty filled in yellow, so we'll see. And then the final thing we'll do is a overall gloss coat on the whole thing to give it a nice little glossy look. And then we'll super glue them together so they don't come apart, and they will be done. All right, so all of the rings have finished drying. I think that they all look pretty good. Now I'm gonna do the coloring on the inside to get the Lord of the Rings font to show up. Now I'm sure that there are certain types of paint brushes and certain types of paint that I should be using. I'm just using this stuff. It's supposed to be good for plastic, and it's what I used on here, and I think it turned out pretty well. As I move along, I'm sure I'll find better techniques, better paint brushes and stuff to use for stuff like this, but this is just what has worked for me, so I'm gonna keep doing that. When I do this, it kind of reminds me of like the original printing press. This is what they would do. They would put like paint or ink or whatever, and then they'd stamp down to get it all to print. We're gonna let those dry and do one more layer of the yellow. It dries pretty quick, so it shouldn't take too long. Yeah, this stuff dries pretty fast, I've noticed. Oh, I made a little mess there. Happy accidents though, right guys? I think I was putting too much on at first because it's kind of drooping down. Yeah, so I think I'm just, instead of accenting the whole thing, I think I'm just going to accent just some of the indentations there. I don't know if it's fully necessary to do all of them. I think the accents will help a bit. All right, so there's none on here, but I think it will just kind of give it a little bit more, kind of show more, just more of the damage on the stone. And it'll be a little faster too. Just finished painting all of them. The last thing, well, two things. I need to do the final gloss coat. I'm probably gonna do 2 light coats on the ring portion, and then I'm gonna super glue them together, and then they will be all finished. Here we go, some of them you can see here. I think the little accents do help. I don't know how much it is translating on camera there. Just being able to see the indents, like the imperfections and the stones and whatnot parts on here. I don't know if you can really tell, but there are a couple areas there where it kind of globbed down. There's some wisps from the 3D printer I'm gonna cut off here before I finalize that too. Having the paint on it really helps see what else I might have missed. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how these all turned out. So I am actually wanting to get full coverage of these. So this is a janky solution. These are paintbrush handles. I've just stuffed them in here and they fit just, well, at least they were fitting just right in there. This is a poor man's solution. If I can get full coverage, look at that, perfect. Looks like it was made for it. All right, we'll let that dry and we'll do one more coat. Remember what I said about even having a garage door open and it's still building up? It is just lingering in here. So I need to turn on a fan here to air this out. So it's looking like it's just about all done. I did a few more coats of the gloss over it, probably like more than I should have, but I just want it to really shine. Maybe that's, maybe you can let me know if you think it's too much. But here it is, all done, and the very last thing I need to do is just super glue them all together. This is the one that I started out with, then here are the new ones. But overall, I think that they all look pretty good. A couple of mistakes I noticed upon finishing them. Kind of see here in the O, some of the imperfections in the 3D prints. I probably should have spent a little extra time cutting those out. But overall, I'd say it's not too bad. So I'm gonna super glue them now, really easy. It's just, I got some crazy glue. I just put a little bit inside of the hole and just let it dry and it'll stick together and I'll give them to my friends. I'm not sure if I should be wearing gloves for this or not. I just put just a little bit in there, just enough to get it to hold. Don't wanna do too much because once I put the base in, it'll expand, you know, it'll spread throughout. Oh, got a little bit on me. So you just want to make sure it doesn't like ooze out. There you have it, everyone. Fully 3D printed and painted Lord of the Rings statues, stands, whatever you want to call these. If you do end up deciding to make and print your own, put them on the Holden Hardman subreddit, Holden Hardman. I don't run that, but I do check it periodically. It's for people who are fans of my channel. So I'd love to see if you guys make your own or maybe change up the colors or do different things to them. I'd love to see what you come up with, and that's probably the best way for me to see kind of what you've been able to make. For now though, that is it. I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everyone. I made this for you.
What the hell is this?
It's a Lord of the Rings statue. I 3D printed it and I painted it. It took a lot of work.
You know I hated those movies, right?
I recall you not being a big fan of them.
All you do.
I also made you this Batarang because I knew you wouldn't like that.
Alright, this is pretty cool. Batman's pretty rad. This is pretty cool.